An intro. There we go. Thanks to Benjamin Amick for putting that together. We now have an official intro for Daily Distinction. It makes it a show, I guess, that we're doing. Hey, everybody. Glad to have you here today. If you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter right here, if you're on Instagram right there, really great to have you with us, and glad that you're a part of this. Dwayne, always great to see you right here at the onset. Hey, Bruce, good to see you. Bruce is the video expert here watching that, so I'm always humbled when you see us here on video. Elisa joining us on Facebook. Great to see you as well today. Got a bunch of folks joining right at the onset here. So, yeah, Rita didn't Ben do a great job on that video. That was very cool. Could you hear the sound? Because I'm still experimenting after the mess up that we had yesterday. So didn't know if you heard the background sound there or not. Let me know what's going on there. So we'll give a minute for everybody to get joining us today. Hey, Talene, good to see you. We were even talking about your stomping grounds, weren't we, yesterday with Dana Williams. By the way, it was so cool that Dana joined us. That was so special and terrific that Dana Williams was part of the show. It is still available on YouTube. It's available elsewhere as well. So all you need to do is just find it on the YouTube channel, or I think it's still here on Facebook, and I don't know if they take it down after a period of time on Twitter, and I'm not certain what the rules are on that, but you can find it on Facebook, you can find it on YouTube. But if you missed it yesterday, Dana Williams from Diamond Rio was our guest. We got some other guests that I'm in the process of getting lined up that I think you're going to enjoy hearing from: authors, speakers, people in entertainment and all that. And if you have any recommendations or connections for guests, that's good too. Because what we want to do is kind of alter between, just us talking like we do on many days, probably most days here on Daily Distinction, and bringing on some guests. So you don't get tired of hearing me talk all the time, but also the perspective that they bring, which can be, unique and different and interesting as guests come in. So thank you for watching again today, and also would really appreciate if you would share this, because that gets more people involved. So if you hear it, if you enjoy it, then share it. So news. Thanks, I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know that you heard it. Phil, hello, good to see you. Hey, Randall, yeah, and I appreciate that. Thank you. And Phil, we need to do that sometime. Let's get that booked. So, hi, everybody. Great to have you here. And we got a bunch of folks that continue to join us. So thank you for being a part of that. So here's how I've spent the morning. Glenn Morshower, that was a guest last week. And if you missed that, that's another great one to go check out, because Glenn Morshower is, I promise you, when you see him, you will know who I'm talking about. He is one of the great character actors that's out there. And Glenn, obviously, Agent Aaron Pierce on the hit TV show 24. That's one of the great trivia questions ever, is that Glenn, only Kiefer Sutherland, the star, right, Jack Bauer, was in more of the series in terms of appearances on the seasons than Glenn. He was there so much. But anyway, he's on the Resident now. Well, anyway, he has an acting class that he teaches. And because of what we're dealing with, they aren't having the class in person like he normally does is at his studio in Dallas, Texas. They meet by Zoom call. So he had me on the Zoom call today, and I was showing a little bit of the film that I'm in, that I had a chance to act in many years ago. And, was just talking about speaking and life in general. So then he throws it open to all the members of the acting class. And they were asking things about speaking, and they were asking about things about in front of an audience and all that. And then it goes back to Glenn, and it's time for his question. And he asked a question today that I wanted to share with you as really the main point and the main aspect of what we're going to be talking about today. And that question is simply this. I showed a scene that I'm in from a movie I appeared in when I was in. I had a role as a banker in this German film that has kind of become a cult classic called Straussic by Werner Herzog. And so here I am in the film, and I'm in my 20s. I'm young, I'm thin, I'm wear these weird glasses and no facial hair and all that kind of good stuff. Well, anyway, so I show that, and so Glenn, who I think is going to make this comment about acting or performing, asks me a really, really cool and critical and interesting question. He said, "So, what advice would you give the Scott that we just saw on screen? What advice would the Scott of today give to the Scott in his 20s?" And I before I give you what my answer was, I want to pose that question to you. Regardless of how old you are or regardless of where you are on the pathway of life, my fundamental question is, what advice would the you of today give the you of your 20s? Think about that for just a minute. Answer any questions. Yes, is Strassing available? It sure is. There's a pirate version that's on YouTube, Bruce, but it doesn't have the subtitles, because part of what makes it interesting is it's about Germans that come to America, and part of what makes it interesting is I don't understand them and they don't understand me, right? Most of it. So the language barrier is part of both the humor and the tragedy of what happens in there. But if you do a search for Strassing, it's available. Turner Classic Movies, TCM, it on a month or so ago, and I don't know if it's coming back or when it's coming back there, but TCM has played it. The if you're watching, we have some folks that watch from the UK. The BBC has it on occasionally, so it's out there, which is pretty amazing. Roger Ebert named it as one of the 50 greatest movies in the history of film. So it was such a privilege to be a part of that. So the question: what would you tell the you of however many years ago that was in your Phil, I love your answer. Buy Apple stock. Yeah, absolutely. Buy as much of it as you can get your hands on. That would be a good one. So that was the question that was posed to me. It is the question I would pose of you. What is the question? And what the advice? The question is, what would you tell yourself? What is the advice that you would give the younger you? Hey, Fanzo, good to hear from you, man. There's one of the great speakers out there, man. He talks about millennials, and he is one, and he is one of my. Well, it goes both directions, pal. I tell you, I'm as big a fan of yours as you send this direction. So I really appreciate that. So I'm going to tell you what the advice I would give my younger self. Tap the brakes. Slow down just a little bit. Man, when I got out of my experience as a national FFA officer, state national FFA officer, because I'd taken 2 years out of college to do that. So when I go back to Franklin College in Indiana, re-enroll and I get back in, I'm 2 years older than everybody else that was in my class. I had started for a semester, then took 2 years off, and then come back for the second semester my freshman year. But now my class I'd started with, they're juniors, and everybody I'm with is it. So I was so anxious just to get my degree out of school. I took a full-time while I was in college, and I was traveling and speaking, and I was doing a significant amount of the classroom work. I was just so anxious just to get that diploma and get out of there and get going. And then I got the diploma and I got out of there, and I was just so anxious to get my speaking business started and go to work on that and do, and I always had my foot on the accelerator. I ran for statewide political office in Indiana at 26 years old. I just had my foot on the gas all the time, and it made some good things happen. Don't get me wrong, but if there is any advice of myself, and I probably wouldn't have listened to that advice in the 20s, but it would be, take your foot off of the accelerator, tap the, smell roses, as corny and trite as that sounds, enjoy it. Warren Zevon is the guy who had the song Werewolves of London and others. If you're not familiar with him, it's worth looking up. Gosh, what crazy songs he wrote. Lawyers and Money is another of my favorite. He wrote Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me that Linda Ronstadt had a hit with. Um, so he cancer and it's terminal. And he was one of David Letterman's favorites. So Letterman had him on, and they both know. I mean, everybody knows he's not going to be back on the show. The cancer is terminal. He can perform, but it's nearing the end of his life. And so Letterman asked his perspective. What would you tell us? And his great aim was enjoy every sandwich. Obviously, he wasn't talking about just sandwiches. He was talking about savoring every moment. He was talking about why does it take, and many of you know, I lost my first wife to ovarian cancer, and why does it take that type of significant tragedy in many cases to be the wake-up call? So I'll tell you why I picked that here in just a minute. But Cheryl, there's a good one. As you take care of others, take care of yourself, right? What Waylon Jennings often said, if I'd known I was going to live long, I'd taken better care of myself. I think many of us are finding, that some of the habits that we had previously aren't the habits that contribute to the best situation today. Jeffrey, yeah, always have extra dryer and pants because you do your job. Okay, Jeffrey, you remind me of something. My mom, I love my mom, but my mom always said, never leave the house without clean underwear on. Did anybody else's mom say that? Never leave the house without clean underwear on. And why were you not supposed to leave the house without clean underwear on? You might be in an accident. Did you ever hear that? Oh, never leave the clean underwear on. You might be, which always made me, if I'm in it, that they have to, but my underwear ain't gonna be clean anyway, right? I mean, that was what I never understood. Hey, Tom Webster, gosh, it's good to hear from you. Man, the article that you posted, just absolutely fabulous. I reposted it. If you follow me on Facebook, please go back and read what Tom posted. Gosh, it's just brilliant writing. 10 years ago, I've had an answer. Today, I wouldn't want to disturb the timeline that led you here. Man, what a great perspective. Ted, love what you say. Yeah, it's a deep question, but I think it's one that we need to consider, right? It's one that we need to think about. But that was what was brilliant about Glenn's question, Dwayne, is that he said, "What's the one thing that you would say?" That's right. Stop searching for your dream job, Brian, as you said, and find ways to be passionate about the jobs you have. Yeah, isn't it interesting? We see the circle and we see the pattern of life when it's in the rear view mirror, but we don't see it as we're experiencing it. That's kind of what Tom's saying, right? Is that everything that we say, for example, if I would have tapped the brakes, I met Sherry, my first wife, because I went for political office. I'm happy that we have such a great relationship because of the tragedy that happened, and the passing of my first wife. Interesting, isn't it, that some of those things lead us to where we are, but it takes me back to my old FFA days. I'm talking about that a lot, aren't I? When I was in FFA, part of what I learned there was that if the goal was to be a national FFA officer, you probably weren't going to get there, because you had to do a good job as a chapter officer to become a state officer. You had to do a great job as a state officer to be considered for a national office. So it is doing what you do with excellence every day at that day that will help take you to where you need to be and want to go. It's one of the things I learned. Oh, Richard, thank you so much for that. She loved you too, man. I'm telling you. She was absolutely special, and you haven't had the chance to meet Tammy yet, but she's very different than Sherry in her own way, but she is very special as well. So, man, I appreciate that more than I could describe, my friend. She thought the world of you as well. She just thought you hung the moon, and I think you do. So, Follow up better and shed procrastination. Yes, follow up. And that was the other thing I was going to talk about. And Dwayne, it leads me to that. I'm going to come back to these comments in a second, but uh, thoroughness is really striking me. The importance of thoroughness. I was on the phone yesterday with a buddy of mine, Dan Burris. Dan will be one of the guests that's coming up, and we started talking, and I didn't have my legal pad with me, and so I started putting notes on Post-it notes, and these are ideas that I got. Each of these is an idea that I got from Dan, and he's just mind expanding when you talk to him. And one of the great things is that now the question is, will I be thorough enough to act on it? Right? It's great to have an idea, but are you going to be thorough enough to act on the ideas that you get and that you write down? You got to do it. You got to take action. Ted, as I often say, enjoy the stage of life that you are in. As you get older, you will wish you enjoyed the past more. Similar to what you're saying. Yep, Ted, it absolutely is. It's enjoy every sandwich. It is savoring that moment. Cheryl, you're right. Oh, there's the other one. Make sure your bed's made. Don't don't leave the house without the bed made. Don't leave the house without clean underwear on, and don't run with scissors. We can do a whole show on the stuff mom told you, right? Whether it's don't leave the house without clean underwear on, don't run through the house with scissors in your hand, don't cross your eyes, they'll stick. All of those, it could just go on and on and on. Yeah, that's first responders saying, wow, look at his clean underwear. Isn't that true? Hey, Jonathan, pay attention to everything you do and everyone you meet. When you get where you're going, you'll end up using everything you've learned along the way. Right. So much of what we are saying is that, hey, Lowell, learn from the mistakes of others. I love that because part of what that's called is OPE, right? That's something talked about by many folks. Other people's experience, and all of that is very important. Oh, you like that idea, Jeffrey? Yeah. What mom's advice? I was texting earlier. My buddy Mark Mayfield, as some of you know, and some of you heard, Mark and I go back forever. I mean, he was national FFA president when I was state FFA president in Indiana. That's how far we go back. And he's got this whole thing about mom's rules. So Mark up. So that's to ask him to be on the show, and we'll talk about mom's rule and talk about all that kind of stuff. That's why I think it's important to ask now, because the current situation, we're in a downtime when we can use this time to reflect. I joke that because of the world that we live in, we're really not geared well for silence. Have you noticed that? When Tammy and I go to bed, we turn on a group called Liquid Mind, and Liquid Mind makes music to sleep by. And the funny thing is, I've put it on my iPhone, so when I'm in a hotel room, I turn on Liquid Mind on my iPhone, so I'm listening to the same music in a hotel bed that I'm listening to in my home bed, so it helps me go to sleep. But I've got to have that noise on at night. First of all, as a musician, could you imagine? Okay, we're going to make music to help people fall asleep while they're listening. That's kind of the opposite of what you would think with most people, right? So the thing of it is, we're not geared well for silence. We want to hear this music or these white noises to help us go to sleep. And we get up in the morning, we turn on the radio or the television, and we surround ourselves with noise all the time. Maybe one of the things we could be doing right now is to enjoy some silence and think about the deeper questions like this. Who knows when the doors are going to be open again or how they're going to be open again? That's obviously part of the debate that's going on in this country right now. But I'd hate it if everything got back again and we hadn't leveraged this time and used this time to find a more positive way of doing things and proceed with that. So, Jeffrey, we'll make certain that we get with Mark and that we do that. But yeah, your point here is perfect. Reflect, build relationships. How can we become a better person through this experience rather than more angry and upset and frustrated because of it? It's part of what we must do. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm reading these, if you're new to watching, it's because I can pop the comment up online if you're watching live on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, but the folks watching on Instagram don't see that because of the different format of Instagram. So I read it to make sure our followers there are able to see it and to make sure we're all talking about the same thing. By the way, I just want you to know what my lovely wife has commented on here. I'm going to put it up because she says the reason that we turn on Liquid Mind to listen to at bedtime is it drowns out the snoring too. And I think you'd probably be safe in assuming it ain't her that's the one that's doing the snoring. Okay. So thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hey, Diane, I listened to a video, 10 hours of crickets at night. That's country. See, there you go. If country gal's going to listen to crickets and thunderstorms and other folks are going to listen to something else. I know somebody that goes to sleep listening to sounds of the airport. It's a speaker that travels all the time. Really? The airport is what you got to listen to so you can relax? That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Hey, Patricia, good to see you. Think of tiny little covert ways to ambush others with kindness. Yeah, on the call I was on earlier today on Glenn's acting call, there was a guy that was talking about personal notes. And he is a server, and he writes every person. He's written a thank you note to every person whose card he has during this period of time. But when restaurants were open and everything, he would even write a thank you note to every single person that dined with him. And I was just blown away by that. I thought that was so cool. And I asked him, why did you do that? He said, I was going when I moved, into my own place. I was going through a bunch of stuff that I had, from where I lived before, the apartment I lived in before. And he said, I found a thank you note from a server at the Olive Garden. And I'd saved it because it meant so much to me. And I realized if it meant that much to me to get one when I was the customer, what would it mean to people that I could give it to? Wow. I love that. I thought that was so good. Covert ways to ambush others with kindness. Larry Wingett is watching on Instagram right now. And Larry said he said, I listen to the sounds of Leon snoring to go to sleep. Leon's his bulldog. And I've heard Leon snore when I've been at Larry's house. So yes, Leon does snore. And Larry goes to sleep listening to snoring sounds. It's his bulldog. We could do a whole show here on snoring. My wife and I compete on. There you go, Jeffrey. Hey, Jeff Weimer. Everyone, Dana talked about it yesterday, didn't he? About how he will appreciate his audience more than ever before. So good. Leave oranges on a neighbor's doorstep. Patricia, I wish you lived in our neighborhood. That is such a great idea. Hey, Kevin, recapture the commute time too. Yeah, what will you do with it? Yeah, if we do something with it, it will mean the world. It will make such an incredible, amazing difference. Yeah, Cheryl, if you just open the window, you'll hear all the sounds that you want to hear. There's no doubt about that. That is so true. I agree, Jerry. Patricia's comment about being subversive is really good. Oh, boy, Diane, you hit the nail on the head. There are some people that are changing, many are not. I talked about this the other day. I don't know if you're on when I talked about it, but I've been going through and getting rid of a lot of subscriptions that we've had. And subscriptions, there's stuff but I never noticed so many. It was $7, $7 a month. But you do about 4 of those. Now all of a sudden $28 a month is a payment, right? So Tammy and I have been talking about this so much as well. I really think this is a great time to be thinking about the importance of simplification and simplifying it down. Yeah. It's a double gift. You've got that right, Patricia. It's a double gift. It's a gift to his customer, but it's also a gift to him in the appreciation that the customers show in return. A handwritten note, for all of the things that we think about email and instant messaging, man, there is nothing at all that replaces the personal touch. Hey, if you'd like to dig deeper into this, just go to distinctionnation.com. There's This is not a sales pitch. There isn't anything there for you to buy. But if you sign up, we'll communicate with you with blogs, and we've got that 14-day audio program that you can go through. You just listen to a little segment every day for 2 weeks, and it will connect you with your priorities and your values and your goals and how you transmit that into daily activities that can make a difference in your life. It's absolutely free. It's a service I'm trying to provide to help us understand how we can be better at what we do. Also would remind you that 24/7 Distinction Radio is on. And if you have an Amazon device, all you have to do is say Alexa. I'm spelling it out because I don't want mine to fire off, or yours either, as you're listening to this. Play Distinction Radio, and you will hear Distinction Radio and ideas on what you can do to grow yourself and your business. And don't forget that every Sunday night we have Ken and Glenn and a guy named Scott. It's every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So all of that is there for you. And I can't thank you enough for watching. Thanks, everybody, for taking time to be with us. And I will be back with you again tomorrow. And, Kevin's got something else. How about a LinkedIn recommendation? Great time to, Kevin, what a great idea. Just take a moment and recommend somebody on LinkedIn that has said or done something that exemplifies everything that we want to be about. So absolutely, that's what we need to be doing. That is a great point. When Diane was an account executive at WMPI, which is the radio station I worked at in Scottsburg, and put the sweet corn on the back of it. Yeah, there's so much to be said for our small towns. Absolutely. Oh, Lowell, thank you very much. I appreciate that you did that then, and I appreciate that you go back now. I'm glad it's made a contribution. Hey, everybody, thank you so much. I'll be back here again tomorrow. And if I'm trying to line up a guest, if it works out, follow on Facebook. It'll be a good one. If not, we'll be here. We'll be talking no matter what happens. So once again, I appreciate you so much. I'm so happy that you are here, and I just can't thank you enough for being a part of this. Really great. I'll talk to you again tomorrow on the next edition of Daily Distinction. We'll see you same time. I'll show my same bat time, same bat channel. See you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for watching.